All right, so just want to speak to everyone now about coaching because I think Annie said it nicely in that, working with team and doing these things, achieving goals, getting to gold is a team effort. So the it's not always an easy thing to achieve success on you. Well, certainly on your own, you can't really do it on your own. But what is it for you? It'd be interesting for you to just type in as well, those who are on this call. You're obviously committed, you're obviously looking for looking for your goals to be achieved, you're looking to learn. So I'm curious what success is for you, and what's your big what we call, let me show you your big BHAG. What's your BHAG, your big hairy audacious goal? And what are you aiming for in Young Living? What is it that you really want? And are you clear on your goal? Because we, as Annie shared, we need to be clear on that goal and focus on that goal, and that can be even itself quite a challenge initially. So are you struggling? Pardon me. Are you struggling with your goal, with your vision, with your purpose? What is it that's getting in the way for you? Perhaps you'd like to type in for me some of the, your goal, or some of the challenges that you're having in identifying your goal. Some people talk, or we in network marketing, we talk so much about knowing your why, and how powerful it is to know your why. And that's something that can take a little time to unfold. Others know it clearly. For some, they've achieved one of their whys and then they need to find the next one. So it can be a moving thing as well. So keep an eye on that goal and that why, because that's going to give you focus. Once you're clear on your goal, the next step is getting there. So you know where you want to go, know where you are, and then how to get there. And we always need to take people with us in order to achieve our BHAGs, our big, hairy, audacious goals. And with that, we need to develop people around us. And there's a couple of things around how we do that. So training is one thing, and development is another thing. So training is quite specific. I'm teaching a skill, I'm teaching some information, I'm imparting knowledge, and so on. But developing is different. And then coaching comes in as part of development. And I'd like to share with you a little bit about what I've learned about coaching. I've been a coach for a few years now, but I've recently done a 3-day coaching excellence class, and it was with a lady called Nikki Keohoho, and she's coming to Symposium. So I'm very excited about that, because the information that she shared was phenomenal. And the course was directly for, or specifically for direct sales people. So it was very targeted to the challenges and the types of people that direct sales attracts. And so I found that fascinating. So I'm going to share with you just a few things that I'm learning, so that you'll be ready to go to listen to what Nikki has to say at Symposium. So in some senses, coaching is actually a much more effective way at finding your why than anything else. You can't really train whys. They're kind of something that need to bubble up from inside of you. You've got to find your own. Sometimes you can borrow someone else's for a while, but it won't have the same power as finding your own. So coaching is a really amazing skill to have. Now let's talk about what coaching isn't. So coaching isn't counselling. Counselling is really past focused. Coaching isn't actually mentoring either. So mentoring is something that the person who's coaching you has done before you. So they'll say something like, oh, if I was you, I would do this. And you listen to that and then you go and do it. Coaching is quite different to that. And then coaching is not consulting. Consulting is trained experts coming in and providing advice, usually based on, theories and processes and models and these kinds of things. So coaching's not consulting. Coaching's not therapy. Therapy is quite specific for people who are in emotional turmoil, let's say, might involve drugs and prescriptions and so on. Coaching's not therapy. And then coaching also isn't cheerleading. So as a leader, you may cheerlead somebody, but it's not, rah, rah, go for it, you can do it. That's not coaching either. So here we go. There's everything it's not. So what is it? So let's have a look at some basic key points, I suppose you call them, of what coaching actually is. So first of all, this is information that I learned through Nikki's course, and I highly encourage you to look out for it at Symposium or to consider future trainings in this area, because from my experience, coaching is one of the most phenomenal ways of empowering individuals to grow and to lead themselves and to be mature and to be able to deal with conflict and to have emotional intelligence, all these beautiful things that we want and need to develop as we go up the ranks. So it's actually, it doesn't come naturally, at least for me. I found quite challenging because being a trainer, we're taught to impart knowledge. If somebody doesn't know something, this is kind of like as a parent as well. If that somebody doesn't know something, we tell them. We tell them what to do, or we tell them what they're missing. Whereas coaching's not like that. Coaching is more about asking questions. Those open-ended questions, the ones that don't get answered with a no or a yes. Open-ended questions that really get the individual to think. So they're not questions that you already know the answer to. They're questions where the person kind of goes, oh, I need to think about that. So empowering questions that really leave the person thinking that they are the expert, or there's a tone in the questioning that's about that person being the expert in their own life. So, we can't ask those questions with judgment in our voice or impatience in our voice. So empowering questions, instead of like, why did you do that? Which is not terribly empowering, especially if we had that from our parents when we were younger. That'll trigger all sorts of terrible things. But it might be more of a what question, what else could you do, or what have you done already, and what's missing. So what questions are often empowering questions. And then heart-centered listening. Oh, my apologies for the typo there. Heart-centered listening is the second aspect of this coaching style. And what they mean, if you've studied listening, if you've learned listening skills, say you've read the book People Skills, which is an extraordinary book on learning to listen, then you might think that this attentive listening is the highest form of listening. Well, heart-centered listening goes even beyond attentive listening. Heart-centered listening is really, it's feeling as well as listening. It's hearing and listening and feeling, and looking for in what they're saying a curiosity for them to kind of find out more about that question and about that challenge for themselves. So heart-centered listening requires real focus. You can't be not present. You can't be thinking about anything else. You can't be in your own head thinking your own thoughts about what that person needs, or what you're going to say next, those things we typically do. This is the one I struggled with, because, once you start to know about what makes people tick, you think, oh, I know what that person needs, I can fix them. But that's not real heart-centered listening. Heart-centered listening has real patience in it. You don't need to know what to say next. You've just got to be with that person. And then we have compassionate feedback. This is the third component of coaching. And it's giving those insights to the person in a way that is going to keep their self-esteem intact and their self-worth intact. So, it's a question, or some feedback might be, for example, may I let you know what I've been noticing? And of course, your tone has to be loving. That's the compassionate part of it. Or, I've seen you do this, and I'd like to understand a bit more about that. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And it might be, for example, that they're always late. I've noticed that you are struggling to arrive on time. Can you tell me a little bit more about why that's happening for you? So this is extraordinary ways of giving people sometimes the stuff that they're not aware of. They don't realize that what they're doing is impacting others or impacting you. And so sometimes compassionate feedback is really important. Nikki said to me, I said to us as the class, that constructive criticism, there is no such thing. Criticism is criticism. And this is distinct from that some compassionate feedback is another level of skill in that area. And this is something that I've now absolutely focused on in my coaching of people, and that is to bring in the agreed action and accountability. Because sometimes I get seduced perhaps by the person having insights about themselves and so on. But if there's no action, and we're an action-oriented business, we're an action-oriented world, if there's no action and accountability for actions, then there's no results and nothing changes. So the asking questions about how that person, what action that person might take, and then agreeing on how to hold them accountable for that is really important. And then acknowledgement. And I'll give you a tip about this one. I actually think this is one of the most powerful ways to lead people. And that is because with acknowledgement, we can acknowledge the person for what they do, but we can also acknowledge the person for who they're being. So what I noticed I was doing after I'd done this course and I became really conscious of it, what I noticed was I would say I'd thank somebody for doing something. So Paul, my partner, if he'd done the dishes, I'd say, oh, thank you so much for doing the dishes. That's so wonderful. And, it kind of works. It makes me feel good. But the tip that we got was to acknowledge the person, not for what they're doing, but their being. So in my example, instead of saying thank you for doing the dishes, I could say something like, oh, that's so thoughtful of you. Thank you very much. So thoughtfulness is what I'm acknowledging. Or, oh, it's so helpful to me that you're so reliable in doing this. Thank you very much. One of the ladies here did something while I was out of the office. I didn't ask her to do it. So I thanked her for having my back, for being reliable and somebody I could count on. And then other things might be, I like the thoughtful one because people like it when they're acknowledged for their thoughtfulness. There's many, many, many more. Maybe you can type some in. Ways of being. Thank you for being so much fun. Thank you for being accountable. Thank you for being reliable. Thank you for being come on, I need some more from you guys. Type in, thank you for being courageous. That's a big, huge one. If somebody's done something, they've stretched their comfort zone, they've made their first call or signed up their first person, perfect opportunity to say, thank you for you're so wonderful for being so courageous. And that one also works. Yeah, there's some more. So caring. Thank you for being so caring, courageous. Thank you for being so considerate. Another amazing one. That's one I say to Paul as well. Thank you for being so considerate. Because, you know, when somebody does the dishes for you, it's great, isn't it? And you want them to do it more. So kind, efficient, prompt. Yep. So yes, thank you, Cynthia. These are some of the things that when you're, you know, somebody's done something for you, somebody in your team has done something, maybe you're not even used to doing acknowledgement. Maybe you kind of just forget because you haven't received it, or maybe this is new to you. But I encourage you to practice this one, even if this is just the start of your coaching journey, because it is an amazing thing. It makes people around you feel so good about themselves. And when that happens, they're more loyal, they're more fun, they're more reliable. And so you start to create the kind of people around you that you really want, rather than the people that maybe come and go and leave you behind. So attentive, helpful, obliging. Yes, do it with your kids. Practice with your children. Practice with your parents. I did it with my dad recently. I've just been practicing everywhere. It's turned into a fun exercise. So there we have it. There's the 5 areas of coaching, the 5, what do we call them? 5 principles. 5, actually they're kind of core skills, really. I think Nikki would call them core skills. And that's empowering questions, the heart-centered listening, the compassionate feedback, agreed action and accountability, and then acknowledging, but acknowledging being more so than doing. And obviously there's a lot more to coaching and a lot more you can learn, but I think that's a really great start. I think that with this coaching culture coming into Young Living, this is going to be a topic that we'll deal with more and more. And I really hope you're going to be at Symposium to see Nikki, because you'll get it from her words and from her mouth, and she's the guru on this topic. So hopefully you're all coming to that. Okay, well, we're just about out of time, and I want to thank you for your attention. I want to thank Annie for inspiring us. I was certainly inspired. And I want to thank you for being here with me this evening. So please go well, enjoy your Anzac week, and hopefully we'll see you at Symposium. If you're listening to this live, hopefully we'll see you at Symposium. If you're listening to the recording, maybe Symposium's over. In that case, we'll see you again on another webinar next time. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, feel free. I'm going to stop recording, but I'll be here for another couple of minutes just to answer any of your live questions. It's the benefit of coming in live.